All right, it is the fall of 1955.
Yeah.
You land here as a 16-year-old. You were so young.
That's right.
16.
Yeah.
What do you remember when you look around this
What I
campus?
remember is I came right up through here, and that was my residence. That was called Aquinas Hall, right here.
And what kind of memories, if those walls could talk, what would they say?
Well, I was very young, very excited. This was all new to me, and it was very big. I came from Big Hobo. So this was like Las Vegas for me.
This is the old dining hall here?
This is over here, around the corner, Morrison Hall. It still is, although the interior has improved, and so has the food. Okay. No, the food's pretty good here now.
What are some of your clearest memories being here?
I remember being so excited to be here. For me, it was a big place, and they had everything. Debating societies, dramatic societies, hockey, football.
You were very successful in your debating career here.
Pretty well, yeah.
You became known as the silver-tongued orator, but I have to ask you, before that, you had the nickname of Bones.
Yeah, I was so thin that they used to call me Bones. You know, unfortunately, they no longer do. As they say, I've grown up and grown out.
The school that will be opened up here, called Mulroney Hall, and the Brian Mulroney Institute of Government.
Yes.
What will you teach?
Well, there are going to be chairs in Canada-United States relations. There are going to be chairs in climate change and the environment, in human rights and the promotion of women's rights. There are going to be scholarships, lots of them, for young and worthy and needy students.
Who will come here? Will it be those with mostly conservative views, or will it be open to everyone?
No. It's going to be completely nonpartisan. You know, they'll be taught by excellent professors. There are going to be chairs and professors and scholarship students, and they'll be taught the very best, and they'll make up their own minds as to what they'd like to do.
The school. Why was it important to you to do it as an undergrad program instead of a master's?
Well, because it's a chance, an opportunity for younger people to develop a taste for and an interest in public policy and politics and government. And if they graduate from here with a degree, say, in arts or commerce or what have you, and a major in government policy from the Mulroney School, that'll get them going already into public service, into jobs with government, foreign affairs. It'll whet their appetites very early for a possible career in public policy in the provinces or in the Canadian government. And, you know, they can change lives and shape their country if they get it early enough.
You're hoping to launch some of the future leaders of this country.
I hope so. I hope so.
What does it mean to you then to build your legacy piece here?
Well, it was very important to me that that be done here. It's the way I wanted it. I have roots here, and that's why I wanted it here. But I felt that this part of my life should be here because it began here. You know, the public policy part of it began here. And remember, Anne-Marie, that I was elected from here, from this constituency, when I went into the House of Commons for the first time as leader of the opposition. I was elected in the by-election in this riding. So it turned out that it was a very important part of my life.
My father's reply is engraved in my memory. I know, Brian, that times are tough, and we could sure use the extra money you would bring in. But I've learned one thing. The only way out of a paper mill town is through a university door, and you are going to university. And that's how I wound up at St. X.
It means a lot to you to put it here, doesn't it?
It does. This is not Harvard, you know, with billions of dollars and so on. This was a school for poor boys. And it was built by poor farmers and fishermen from eastern Nova Scotia 5 or 6 years before Confederation. So to me, this means a lot to have it here and to realize that 100 years from now, you know, students will still be going here and hopefully learning and making a contribution to Canada.
And maybe some of them will catch the same spark that caught you.
I hope so. That's what I'm trying to do.
So we're here in the Hall of Clans, the library at St. FX. This is the school where you got your political start. You went on to become the 18th Prime Minister of Canada. You still hold the record for the largest majority ever won. We are now 2 weeks away from the first debate for leadership for the Conservative Party of Canada. It would almost seem like, given the fact that there are new people joining by the day, there was no succession plan. It's almost like all the kids are fighting over the keys to the car. And as somebody who once owned that vehicle, who do you think should be driving?
Well, they've got a lot of good candidates out there. The beauty of a leadership campaign is you don't have a clue who's going to win, as evidenced by the fact that I won. But I lost first. I lost in '76. And that was, in many ways, a good experience, although I didn't think so at the time. And so we don't know, we don't have a clue what's going to happen. And it's different now because in my day we had what was called delegated conventions, which were very exciting and long, but where actual people showed up and voted and made changes and so on from the first to the second to the fourth ballot kind of thing. Now it's all done by computer. You sign up delegates and the more delegates you get, the better chance you have to win. So it's a little different from my time, but it's going to be exciting, and I think we'll have a good leader when it emerges.
There's a lot of candidates with very differing political views. When Ronna Ambrose was on our show, she said, look, it's a big tent. We all fit inside it. But I'm curious, you've got candidates who, like Kelly Leitch, who are talking about anti-Canadian values. Yeah. You have Stephen Blaney, who is now bringing up the niqab argument, and you have Brian Trost, who is talking about going back, revisiting same-sex marriage. Ronna says we moved away from all of that.
Yeah, but she's right. We have.
But how can you say that when you have at least 3 leadership candidates who...
They're entitled to their opinions, but no doubt the policy of the party, of whomever emerges, has to be where we are now, as Ronna has explained. She's right. That's where we are. That's where the country is.
Where do they need to go in order to win?
You know, we weren't defeated last year by accident. The Canadian people took a decision, quite a strong decision, to evict us from office. And they took another decision to put Mr. Trudeau in office. They appear to be rather happy with their choice these days. And so it's up to the Conservative Party to make itself worthy of their support, their consideration in the next election. We have to have, first of all, we need a new leader. Although Ronna would have been a terrific leader herself, I wish she had run. We have to have policies, we have to have an organization, and we have to be able to articulate a national vision for Canada.
In the last election campaign, I'm from Southern Alberta, the heart of conservative country. Yeah. But when I heard in the campaign words like old stock, yeah, it stings. And I wonder, within the Conservative Party, I can't be the only person in Canada who feels this way, where does somebody like myself fit in the Conservative Party?
Well, at the top of the heap, if the Conservatives are smart. I believe, for example, that immigration is a vital dimension of our democracy and our society, and our growth and our prosperity. I raised the immigration numbers to the highest in the history of Canada when I was Prime Minister. And why? Well, first of all, because immigrants benefit Canada enormously. Mm-hmm. They're dynamic, and they contribute to our economy, and they contribute to the well-being of our nation. But also, immigrants have to have a place to go, and we're better than Canada. So we should be welcoming to all immigrants and make life easy for them when they get here, so that they become the tremendous contributors that they are. Anybody who forgets that is not going to be Prime Minister of Canada. This country will not accept someone as its leader who doesn't articulate that kind of a view.
Justin Trudeau just celebrated 1 year in office. The latest polls show he's still enjoying a lot of popularity, a lot of success. But already he has started now to back off of one of his biggest promises, which is electoral reform. He still has a lot of promises to fulfill. What does he need to do to maintain this momentum heading into the second year?
Well, it's pretty hard to maintain it once you start making decisions. You know, you can be as popular as all get out, as I was, until you start making big decisions. And once you make a decision, it's controversial. And if it's controversial, you're going to lose half your support. Half goes this way, half goes the other way. And the more tough decisions you make, the more you're going to lose. But the question is, if you don't make those decisions, how is history going to view you? Because you're going to have nothing on your record by the time history comes to judge you.
We can't ignore another election that's happening south of the border.
Yeah.
You know both of these U.S. presidential candidates on a personal level, both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Depending on who wins this election on November the 8th, who do you think Canada needs to be more worried about?
I've learned, Anne-Marie, not to worry about things until they happen, and this is not going to happen. I think whoever wins is going to realize, sure, we need the United States, but by God, they need us too. 38 of American states, the biggest customers of 38 is Canada. That represents millions of jobs for America. Anybody who says he's going to cancel that won't hear from Canada quickly. He's going to hear from his own backyard. People are going to say, the senators, 2 senators from each state are going to say, hey, are you out of your mind? I've got 11,000 people in Minneapolis or in San Antonio who depend on Canada. You can't do this. And so I think that the integration of the North American Free Trade Agreement has provided a built-in insurance policy for Canada that is going to keep us immune from these kinds of frivolous and reckless partisan attacks.
You have used words like wacky and bizarre to describe this American campaign. You know both of these candidates personally. Is there anything we're not seeing?
The politics of personal destruction in America is a wonder to behold. It's so malicious and so unacceptable by civilized standards, and yet there it is. It's part of American culture. When the votes are over, you're going to see either Mr. Trump or Mrs. Clinton, 2 different people. You're going to see them in the new light of dawn, and that's going to be a world stripped of this malice and these personal attacks, and you're going to see reasonable people emerge from this.
The U.S. election would be a really good case study for your Institute of Government to study. This is your legacy project, this school, Mulroney Hall and the Institute. What do you want to be remembered for?
Well, I just want to be remembered as Prime Minister, as someone who loved Canada and did his best all the time he was there as Prime Minister. And as a St. FX graduate, I just hope that the students 50 and 75 years from now will continue to benefit from these advanced studies in public policy and politics and history and government so that they can make a contribution that will make Canada a little bit better themselves. That's all we can do, and that's what's inspired me from the beginning, is to try and make Canada a little bit better. And I hope that my roots will allow other students of similar backgrounds to have an opportunity to fulfill their dreams for Canada.
Thank you.
Thank you.